Hey guys, my name is Mavi and I've spent the last 14 years in the plastic surgery and beauty industry, working alongside top board certified plastic surgeons.
Now I'm an independent patient coordinator who doesn't work for any surgeon. This means I have unbiased reviews for hundreds of doctors and I can help you achieve the look of your dreams, whether that's a supernatural or a video vixen. I use my professional and personal plastic surgery experience to help you look and feel your best.
Join in on the fun as I talk to plastic surgery experts, friends, and real life patients about all things plastic surgery. Should be fun. Hey guys, do I have the episode for you today? I am over the moon, so excited to bring you one of my one-on-one girls, Gaby. She's going to tell us all about her journey, and I can't wait for you guys to hear because I talk about, with my girls, and we do this and we do that, but I haven't had a recovery diary on in a while. It's been probably since a year ago that I've had a recovery diary. And I love having the recovery diaries because you get to hear what other women are thinking, feeling, experiencing. And what happens very often is that you see, like, oh, I'm not the only one who was scared of that. Somebody else feels like that too. So thank you so much, Gaby, for coming on the show with us today.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to be here talking to you.
Yay! So you found me through my show, right?
I did, yes. I've been thinking about plastic surgery for a long time, but I just hemmed and hawed because I just didn't feel secure enough in finding a doctor that was legit because I just heard so many horror stories. And I listened to a lot of podcasts and I thought, I wonder if I could find something on the podcast I could start researching. And I found you and I started binge listening to your episodes and then I booked a consultation and here we are.
Yay! So how many weeks post-op are you now?
I am, let's see, tomorrow will be 8 weeks.
Yes, 8 weeks. So let's go all the way back to the beginning because I really want our audience, I want my girls to get to know you. And why don't you tell us a little bit about you and who you are and what you do and a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I'm 45 years old. I have a 17-year-old. And when I was pregnant, I got pregnant. I was already probably about 20 pounds overweight, but then I used it really as an excuse to eat for like 10, not for 2. And I gained so much weight. And so after I delivered my baby, I was super heavy and it took until like a year from when my son after I had him that I was like, okay, it's time to start losing weight. And so I ended up losing over 100 pounds over the course of like a year. And, then I got into weightlifting and I really completely changed my body, but I always had, the pooch at the bottom that never repaired from the weight gain and also a C-section. And I'm flat chested. I don't have much. So it's like I have a big belly and I have no boobies. So that's a little background on my body issues. It's just something I've always dealt with is I got strong and, I don't know, lean, but I still had the pooch at the bottom. And then I always kind of, was interested in having boobs, not just when I was fat, but when I was lean also. And so, that's how I came to want plastic surgery. I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Very, very common. I feel that that's a story I hear quite often of women who, after pregnancy, myself included, I gained, with my first daughter, I didn't gain that much, maybe like 15, 20 pounds. But with my son, he and I love to eat. So it's a very common story I hear of women who, after they have a baby and they have the weight gain, they lose the weight, but that extra skin is just always there. And as much working out, as much losing weight as you can do, the skin, there's not really anything you can do to make the skin go back down other than cutting it out. So, what were some of your biggest fears and concerns going into surgery?
So I think one of the biggest is like I already mentioned, that I just heard so many horror stories of people who thought they'd done their research, and even people who otherwise are very, um, like they know what they're doing. They're not just someone who just picks someone randomly. It's they did their research, they read reviews, they did all these things, and they found out the hard way that with certain places that you can read reviews, that doctors can actually pay to have them removed, or that doctors make their patients sign non-disclosure so they can't even talk about it. And so I just had heard one too many stories like that. And like, this is a big deal. Plastic surgery is a big deal. It's not something that I was going into lightly. It's something I wanted to, obviously most people want to get done right the first time.
Mhm.
And so that before I would even, what took me so long to even get there was that. And then also, to be honest, there was a little bit of like, maybe guilt, and I don't want to say shame exactly, but it's like, am I cheating because I'm getting plastic surgery? But once I kind of got over that, and then I found, and I decided like I want to do this, but I need help, and I don't know what that looks like. I didn't even know if someone like you existed until I found your podcast. Um, but yeah, so biggest fear, I didn't ever really have fear about like the pain or the recovery, because like it is what it is. I mean, it's not going to be fun, but you just got to get through it. But it's really more of like, we want to get it right the first time with someone that, that I trust. And so, yeah, that for me, that really, those two were the biggest things.
That's actually quite common. And then along with that, a lot of women have the fear of the pain, the anesthesia, what's going to go down with the anesthesia, and what am I going to look like? That's
Yes.
another one that always kind of holds people back because it's like, what am I going to look like after surgery? I can't imagine it.
hmm I think for me, like there was a little bit of that, but for me, I was like, if I do it right on the front end, and I'm really confident with who I'm picking as my plastic surgeon, if I come to a place where I am comfortable making a decision, I am going to put complete trust in his or her hands that the outcome I want is going to be there. And so I didn't really like, I think after I had the surgery and I was so swollen, I had a couple, a few days where I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But beforehand, I didn't have, I mean, like you and I talked through some scenarios that, for breast aug, for different things, because one of the things I brought up to you was, I mentioned to a friend that I was getting this done, and her response to me getting, breast augmentation and getting implants was a little surprising. And, there's all these things about getting sick from breast augmentation, all this stuff. And so then it's like that started popping up everywhere. And so you and I had it, I brought it to you in one of our calls, and you were very honest with me and said, yes, this does happen with some women, but it doesn't happen with everybody. And you can go through it, and it's the first time you think if you're experiencing this, you can get it addressed. And so, but I also, heard that like, oh, they're not going to feel like they're yours, and you really shouldn't do this. So then I had a slight fear of maybe like, are my implants going to feel like really foreign? Am I going to be like, what have I done? But that was like kind of a small thing, and honestly, from day one, like they felt more like mine after I had it, which was it's kind of cool.
They are yours. You paid for them,
They are
girl.
mine. That's right. That's mine.
They are yours. You paid for
Yes.
them. They belong to you. And I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things that I love, when I have my girls is that we can talk about anything. Like whatever concern you have, I'm going to tell you what I know. What I know about it, what I've heard about it, what other people have told me, what I've seen in real life, and what are the options if this scenario were to play out. And I'm glad you brought that up also about having a negative comment from somebody who you told that you're going to have surgery, because that is also very common. I know you guys,
hmm
you, ah, you, Gabby, have heard this on the show and you lived it. And our listeners, they've heard me say where you're going to lose friends and you're going to lose people who you thought were on your team, but then you go through surgery and you start to look better and feel better and live your life a little differently, and some people don't like that. So they have negative comments to say about either the surgery or the procedures or pretty much anything thing they can come up with to discourage you from doing it. So, did you experience more than just that comment, or did you have other people as well?
So I decided after that that because this was such a big thing and this is for me, that I didn't really need anyone else's approval. So I didn't actually tell anybody else. I didn't even tell anyone in my family until I think I told my mom, I'm trying to remember, like maybe like I had surgery on a Friday. I think I told my mom on Saturday or Sunday. And then I told one of my sisters on Tuesday. Because I just decided like this is a big enough thing. It's for me and it's big for me to have to go through this. I don't want to carry anyone else's crap with me. Like I don't want them in my head. I've decided on this. I've worked with you, Mavi, someone who I trust to make sure I'm making the right decisions. I'm making good decisions based on what I want. I was very confident in the doctor that I chose, and so I just said forget it. And so I only told those two people and my child because I was going to be gone, and obviously he's going to notice, and I was going to need his help. But other than that, I didn't tell anyone, and it's funny because it was such a natural, kind of change in me. Like I don't even know, and because it was winter when I got it done, so I could cover up. Haven't if people have noticed, they haven't said anything. So no, I was like, I'm not here for the negativity. I've decided. I was no longer in decision making. Like, do I not? I was doing it. I didn't really want to. When I got that response, I was like, I don't want to hear it. So I didn't tell anybody. And since then, I've told a couple of friends, and they've been super excited. But yeah, like I was like, I don't really want to deal with this. It's not their path. They don't really understand why
Mhm.
even. So yeah, and honestly, that worked really well for me. I mean, it really did.
I think that's a good lesson for our listeners to hear that if you're getting negative comments from somebody around you or you've received negative comments, like it's none of their business for you to tell them what you're
Hmm.
doing anyway. I recently saw a post on Facebook in a Facebook group of somebody who was like, I'm just going to tell everybody on my Facebook that I'm getting surgery and these are the reasons why I'm doing it and
Hmm.
all of this really long explanation. And the comments were like, "Girl, why are you telling nobody unless they're paying your bills, like they don't
Hmm.
need to know what's going on, why you decided to have a tummy tuck to
Hmm.
explain, these changes." And it's so true because for one, a lot of people won't even notice. The results that I strive to get for my girls are results that are like very natural to where it leaves people guessing like, did she do
Hmm.
something, like what are you doing, are you losing weight, are you working out, like you look different, but they can't really put their finger on it. And so with results like that, you don't need to tell anybody. Nobody, it's nobody's business.
Hmm.
So okay, let's go into my next question for you. Let me bring it up. So after you decided or doing during the surgery consultation process, you had how many consultations and how did you decide to go with the surgeon that you picked? What were the things that were like, yep, this is him?
I had three consultations, and all of them have been, I'm pretty sure, yeah, guests on your podcast. So I felt like I already had, well, I did have exposure to all of their philosophies, and I felt like I had a feeling for who they might be. Of course, we don't ever know until we talk to someone. And the surgeon I actually picked with my first consultation was on a Monday, and I was super nervous because I'm like, am I really doing this? And it was all of my consultations were virtual, and the first one it was a phone call, so I didn't have to share my face or anything, which was fantastic. So I sent all the pictures in and all that stuff, which is very awkward, by the way, very awkward taking naked pictures of yourself and sending them in. I mean, like oh, here are my little boobies, here's my like you're bending over to show like your skin hangs when your lower, it's very strange, just FYI. I mean, I know that's what they do and look at it all day, but when you're like taking these pictures, and I was like, I've never like taken a picture of me just standing here like, hey, here are all my flaws, let's fix them. Anyways, So that's a side note. That was very bizarre for me. And I know they see that's all they look at all day. I get that. So I was actually very happy that it was just a phone call and the first one because I was so nervous. And I knew in that when that call ended, he was going to be my doctor, but I had already committed that I was going to have all three consultations regardless. And then I would make up my mind. But I had such a good feeling because he was very honest with me about expectations. He listened to me. He asked me questions, then he listened to my response, and then he agreed or he kind of gave me feedback. Um, he asked me, why do you want to do this, to kind of gauge like, where I was, I guess, probably mentally, emotionally, all that stuff. And then we just like, he was just so down to earth. And like, I was like, I really think he was the one because, his work was very natural looking and beautiful and all this stuff. And he took his time. And I could also call with him. And I was like, I feel so much better about like doing this now. And then my second consultation was, I think, Wednesday. It was a little weirder. I this was a FaceTime one, but then I actually had to show like my boobs and stuff because like the pictures didn't show good. So that was a little weird. That's not the doctor's fault. That's the process and when you don't do it in person. But it was a little strange. I was like, this is a little weird. But I didn't get as good of I didn't connect as well with this doctor, and his work is beautiful. I've read nothing but good things about this doctor. So he's still, I mean, I'm sure he's still an amazing doctor. I didn't connect with him the way that I did with the first doctor. And so for me, I was like, okay, it's still clearly the first one. Like he's still my guy. And then I had my third one, I think was on a Friday night, and I like that doctor as well. I just leaned more towards the first one I met with for a few reasons. Both of them took their time with me. I like both of their responses, but sometimes when and I just knew what the one I ended up, I was like, this is the one, and he was, and best decision. I'm so glad with that decision.
Oh my God, I love it. So, I'm sure you guys have heard me say that like picking your surgeon is like finding your husband. And like once like it's that's the one. But having those three consultations, having more than one consultation helps you really know because like for example if you're dating and you meet at somebody that you're like hey like this has potential and you continue to date and you meet other people who you're like no like these qualities I find this person to be the right match for me. And although the other surgeons were very skilled and talented and have their own all great in their own way, it wasn't the right match for you. And that's one of the most important things that I want our listeners to know is that just because it worked out for your friend or your mother-in-law or your cousin or somebody you work with to go have surgery with a specific doctor, that doesn't mean that that's the right doctor for you. And it's everybody has their own individual journey that they have to go on to find the right surgeon because communication with your surgeon is the one of the most important things in your plastic surgery journey. Being able to communicate your vision of what you want your body to look like and also trusting that they understand it and that they can deliver it. Those two things on the front end make your recovery better and easier and calmer and less stressful because you trust your surgeon and you know that they're doing the right things for you. And when they tell you something like, oh, it's a little bit of swelling, you believe them. Versus if it's not the right surgeon for you and you don't really trust them all the way, if they tell you, oh, it's a little bit of swelling, you doubt. You're like, is it swelling? Is it going to be permanent? Is this what it's going to look like? So I'm really glad you brought up the three consultations and how, even though those three surgeons were all great, in their own right, the one that you picked was the right one for you.
100%.
So let's go into this next little question I have for you.
Give it to me, Mavi.
What procedures did you have done?
I had all of it done. Let's see. I had tummy tuck with muscle repair, lipo 360, breast augmentation with an internal mesh bra or whatever it's called, and then a BBL with hip with transfer also to my hips. I
And
had it
out of
all.
all of those procedures, which one do you feel the recovery was what you expected or what you didn't expect?
Um, it's kind of hard because I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, like I knew it wasn't going to be a blast, but I'm just kind of the person like just give it to me and like I'm just going to respond with whatever it is. I think the tummy tuck and muscle repair, like I'm a very independent person. I've had, I had a C-section, I've had shoulder surgeries before and different things, and like as soon as I was cleared to start moving or do anything, I was on it. I was pushing through like not pain, but like discomfort. But I think the biggest thing for me with the tummy tuck and muscle repair is that it's not really a mind over matter with some of the stuff. It's like you just can't do it right now. You can't, So that was for me. I was like, it's not like, okay, you're gonna be uncomfortable, deal with it. Like you literally can't bend over and pick up something off the ground. It's not happening, you know? So I think I guess that was a little surprising. And I think it did surprise me, and I'm sure it's because of everything I had done at the same time, just maneuvering, like getting out of the bed, because I stayed out of town for 2 weeks, so I was in an Airbnb, so it wasn't my home. And even though it was a good setup, I had a lot of things. It was really surprised me, like, yeah, how hard it was to get up out of bed. And so that was not a great time. Honestly, I think you told me this. My doctor told me this when I was looking at what procedures to do, like with combining. Because originally I was like, do I want to do all at the same time? Or do I want to do it in two separate surgeries? Because this is a lot. Both of you said like because the tummy tuck and mouse repair is such a big surgery, you're probably not even gonna like feel the breast stuff, honestly. Whereas if you got the breast thing just about done by yourself, you would feel it. That's 100% true. I don't remember feeling 1 second of pain with my breast to this day. Like not even 1 second. Like in fact, because my tummy tuck took such the center stage, like half the time I even forgot. I was like, oh yeah, I got my boobs done too. But like it was just like my tummy tub was just stealing the show. And the amount of swelling, I will say this, did freak me out. Just overall swelling. Like they tell you you're gonna swell, you read that you're gonna swell, but I did not know what swelling was until like I remember at one point, like my hips were like don't ask me why it was measured, but it was like 54 inches. That's enormous. And most of that was swelling. But I was like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? Like, so that was shocking. I don't have 54-inch hips anymore, thank God. But my legs were huge. My butt was huge. My everything was huge. So that was shocking. It was scary. Like one morning I woke up and I thought like I had pink eye because there was something going on in my eye, and I looked in the mirror. No, my face was just swollen. And I was like, oh, that's cute. So I'm glad, honestly, I'm glad I was out of town and nobody that I know saw me during those first 2 weeks. And I'm really glad about that. So I guess the overall, the swelling surprised me, even though you hear that you're going to swell. When it's on you, it's like completely different thing. And then not sitting on the butt is, especially when you have other things going on, is not the most fun or convenient. But with all that being said, I will agree with what both you told me and my surgeon told me. It's like, honestly, if you can get it done the same time, so you don't have to go through this process again. And yeah, I think that was a good call. As not fun as those first couple of weeks were, um, I would still do it. If knowing what I know today, I would do it the same way.
I love to hear that. I love to hear that. Remember when you called me on, I think it was New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, because your surgery was on January 3rd. So
Hmm.
New Year's Eve, you called me and it was maybe like 10 p.m. And of course, you're planning, you're packing, you're making sure you have all of your things before you leave. But you were like, I don't know if I want to do the BBL because I
Hmm.
read that your butt is really hard after a BBL. And I told you it'll be hard initially and the initial first couple of weeks while you have all the swelling, But then as the swelling goes down, it'll soften up. So then you decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So tell me how's your butt now?
The butt is great. So I've always had a butt, but as I've aged and then I got out of the gym for a little while, I lost, some of the shape that I used to have. And so one of the things, when I talked to each of the surgeons in my consultations, I mentioned the BBL, and two of the three said, "Yep, you're a candidate," just because, obviously you have to give it some more volume in order to to adjust the shape. But I was really looking for the shape, and then one of the doctors told me absolutely no, I was not a good candidate. He would not do a BBL on me because I would have diaper booty and I would not be happy. I didn't know what diaper booty was until he said that. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? So I had that in the back of my mind. And then when I was reading all these things like, oh, it doesn't feel real. People, it doesn't feel like a real butt anymore. It feels hard and lumpy and all this stuff. I was like, wait, what is this? I didn't know anything about this. So I think that I freaked out a little bit. And so, yeah, you told me it was going to feel normal. And then I did mention it to my doctor. And he told me, he's like, look, you don't have to decide. And you told me the same thing, which was very comforting. You don't have to decide until the day of. You can change anything until the day of. And so I think knowing that honestly gave me peace of mind. I'm like, okay, what do you really want to do here? And so I did go through with the BBL, and it was hard it was pretty hard the first couple of weeks. Um, but then after that, hard to the touch, right? I wasn't sitting, I wasn't whatever, but like hard to touch it. And now it feels like a normal butt. And it's taken, I would say in really just the last week and a half, maybe, like I was like, oh, it's really I'm liking the shape. And I know it's still, I guess, going to go through, let's hope, the fluffing stage or whatever they call it. But I'm very happy with it. I'm happy. I was a little nervous about adding like a little to my hips. I have hips anyways. I'm always had hips and butt, but I'm glad I did it because it smoothed out it smoothed out a lot. It smoothed out some things I had going on there. I'm happy with it. I think over the next, month or so, I think, some more subtle changes are going to continue to happen. And I'm happy that I did it. The volume, it's what I was looking for. It honestly looks like how my butt used to look many, many years ago. So with a few more dimples, but we're going to get those addressed too. But yeah, I'm happy I did it. It feels like a real butt. It feels like my butt. So I'm very happy about that.
Wait till it shakes. Wait till it starts shaking. One of the things that I love about what I do is why I know I've told you guys so many times that when I quit my job as a patient coordinator, I I went into insurance just so I could have more freedom with my time and be with my kids. And I did it for about a month. Because after that I was like, no, this is not
Mm-mm.
for me. Like I'm miserable. Like that this does not make me happy. And I remember sitting down and having a conversation with my boyfriend at the time and being like I don't know what to do. Like I want more freedom to be able to be with my kids while they're little, and we were in the middle of the pandemic and all of these crazy things were going on. And I'm like, but I don't want to be in an office all day. So my thought to myself was, how can I, or what is it that I'm missing? What do I miss? And I don't miss being at work all day. I miss the relationships that I was building with my patients as I was walking them through their journey. Like I miss the friendship. I miss the like watching them transform. I That's what I miss. That's what I love. And being able to like hold your hand and walk you through the process makes me and fulfills me just as much as it fulfills and makes you happy. And I these relationships that I build with my girls, with my clients, these are lifelong friendships now. Like we're 10 years from now, we'll still be communicating. I have people who reach out to me that I met in 2008 who I've helped, maybe back then they were getting lipo 360 and now they're looking for a facelift. But these are friendships that continue for forever, for a long time, until you're like, "Oh, I don't need any more work done. What you doing, Mavi? How are you?" And so being able to hear just how happy you are with your results and with the whole process, it makes me so, so happy. I've told you so many times, like, you are one of my favorite girls because being able to hold your hand and just walk you off the ledge and be like, "It's okay. Come back. Come back.
Uh-huh.
Don't believe
And I
everything you read
trusted you.
online."
And just like I trusted my surgeon with things, I trusted you. And that's what was so important for me. And I think um, I probably would not have moved forward with plastic surgery had I not found you, because I always had this doubt. Like, I would rather, like, I wasn't miserable before, right? I mean, I actually was at a place where I loved myself and my body, but I wanted to improve it. But if I did not feel as trusting as I did and confident that you had my back, that like you knew what I didn't know. And so you were walking me, you were guiding me down the path. Yeah, you're holding my hand, but you were also guiding me like, hey, look at this. And you never, if I brought something to you, you were never like, now, you didn't talk to me like that. You presented a different side, or you would ask questions to help, like, I guess probably to help understand, like, where is your mindset right now? Like, let me help figure this out so I can help her through this. And because I had that trust in you, I didn't, just like what you said with the doctor, that you trust the doctor. And so that when they tell you something, you don't doubt it. That's how I felt about you too. It's like when you said something to me, okay, I believe her. I trust her because you've proven yourself trustworthy. So I really want to highlight that to you, what a difference that made for me. And it still me, I still feel that way. The process was so much. I mean, it's a big process, right? But like knowing that you were there with me, like I got to set aside a lot of that anxiety and a lot of the garbage, because if I brought it to you, you would say, no, that's not something you need to worry about. And then I would let it go. So thank you for that.
Oh, I'm so happy. You're so welcome. I do my best, and I try my best to put myself in your shoes. Like, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? What did you read that is making you think this? Like, where did you find this information? What did you see? Like, for example, like, is my butt gonna be rock hard forever? No, where did you read that? Whoever it may, and this is such a good point right here. I very often have to talk my girls off the ledge, right? They're like walking and they start to get nervous. They start to read things in the Facebook groups that makes them super anxious, super nervous. And what I like to tell my girls is, when you're reading something on Facebook and you're reading somebody else's experience, you don't know what um that person's foundation, where for example, you don't even know if they had surgery in the US. You don't know where they were before they had the surgery. You don't know physically where they were. You don't know what their pain tolerance is. You don't know where their mental status is. So when you're reading somebody's post on Facebook in a tummy tuck group or in a BBL group, there's so many things that you don't know about that specific situation. And it's almost harmful to your mental health and to your surgery process to be reading all of these things. I'm sure I've told you guys of this. Um I had one of my girls very early on that she was so anxious and so nervous that she was trying to join a wound group on Facebook before she even had her surgery. I'm like, "Why are you trying to join a plastic surgery wound group you before you even have your tummy tuck?" And she's like, "I just wanted to see, like, what do the wounds look like in case I can catch it, or I can see it on myself if I have it." And I'm like, this is anxiety, these are the things that make you anxious, that make you nervous, that make you panic when you see something in the mirror that is really not like, it has nothing to do with you. Like, that's not going to happen to you. This is, you're doing all of these things to prevent that from happening. So I love being able to offer, you know, sometimes affirm, like, hey, no, that has nothing to do with you. And sometimes I just laugh. I'm just like, are you serious? No, that's not for you. That has nothing to do with you. Like, that person, that surgeon, like, that's their problem, their situation. We focus on you and where you are, where you're starting from, and where we're going, what our plan is, and doing everything that we can to set it up for success, so that those things that you're worried about, you're not you're worried about it right now, and it's not something that you might not even ever experience or have to deal with. So I love my job. I love being able
And
to
I
be with
love that
you
you love
guys.
it.
So, okay, lastly, before I let you go, tell us a little bit about your thought process now that you are in the post op, now that you've recovered or you're in the recovery process. Tell us a little bit more about, what do you feel? How do you feel it when you look in the mirror? And was the money that you spent worth it? Also, tell us how much you spent.
Okay. Um, yeah, I feel like it's 100% worth it. I know that I still have, the swelling comes and goes and it's going to for a while. I love my belly button. It's been 17 years since I haven't had like a sad belly button that I actually forgot. Like that was just my belly button. I didn't really think anything of it. And I do remember, I'm pretty sure it was the day after surgery. I mean, everything is swollen, but like I saw that like my new belly button and I was like, and that was going into it. I didn't even really think about my belly button other than like, I don't want a surgeon who makes ugly belly buttons, because I saw some that look like they look like they're just quarters or something and just this perfectly round, weird looking thing. I was like, yeah, like I don't want that. But like other than that, I didn't give it a lot of thought. And I was so surprised. And the first time I saw my belly button, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a cute belly button. So am I allowed to say my doctor's name? I haven't said it. I don't know if I'm okay. Dr. Azizi, thank you for giving me a beautiful little belly button. Um, but yeah, I am so pleased with my results. I feel so good. The biggest thing is knowing that it takes time. So yeah, the surgery is the easy part for you. It's the hard part for the doctor. The doctor puts the work in on surgery day and you get to like just be knocked out, which is freaking amazing, by the way. But then it's like, but then after that's the hard work. It's following your doctor's instructions and eating like low sodium, what you're supposed to be eating, moving the way you're supposed to be moving, not letting yourself get swept away by all the emotions, which is also why it was great to have you, Mavi. It's like, oh my God, I'm so huge. And it's like, it's swelling. But like when you're in it, you don't know what's swelling versus what you actually are going to look like. So I do remember, I think it was like maybe between like the transition between week 5 and week 6, I think I really for the first time like that was a big turning point for my recovery because for whatever reason all of a sudden just a lot of the swelling released itself and I was like, oh my gosh, and my waist is so tiny. It's like between 28 and 29 inches, which is crazy to me. But it's so cool and it's like the coolest thing that like I don't have like hanging loose skin anymore. Yeah, I've got a scar, but I'll take that over the loose skin. The shape, like my back and my hips and butt. I love. Now I'm just kind of trying to hold off a little bit longer to see, like, trying to hold off for like 4 more weeks before I buy some clothes because I don't want to keep buying clothes at different stages. But I'm definitely gonna have to buy some new pants to figure out this like 28-inch waist and this like 45-inch hip situation I got going on. But
Yes.
um,
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God. I mean, my old jeans, like they still fit me, but it's like, well, not all of them, but some of them, but it's like, they're going to be rubbing holes here in a minute. So I got to do something.
I love it. So I want you to tell me, how was it looking in the mirror fresh after surgery, the first time that you looked in the mirror versus looking in the mirror now?
Oh my God, it was so bizarre. The first, time after surgery because, I'm in the faja, so I finally take the faja off and like I'm bruised because I had so much done. But like my butt was bruised, my thighs were bruised, my stomach was bruised, my chest was bruised, and I was swollen, and I'm like, okay, well, this is something. And my butt was enormous, like enormous. It looked like it belonged in a cartoon or something. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. But like, and I tried to get out of my head. I tried not to stay in that place for too long, understanding like this is healing, this is part of it, and just focusing on like I I picked Dr. Azizi for a reason. It's because his results are amazing. They look natural. I trusted after our conversations and my consultations with him that he was going to be able to deliver what I was looking for. And so like I mean, it's his reputation too. He don't want to do a crappy job. He wants to do great work. So it's like, so focus on like that in picture. And like, I have lost 100 pounds in the past. And so when I was going through that process, like in the day to day, you don't see like, if you lose 2 pounds, you don't see losing 2 pounds. So I had to keep focusing on like, okay, what do I look like at the end of this? And then just keep showing up every day, doing the things I know I need to do to get to the end result. And I kind of applied the same mindset to this. Like, yeah, it sucked in the beginning. I mean, like, don't let people lie to you and say like, oh, it's a piece of cake or it's only bad. Like if someone's saying like it's only bad for the first couple of days, either they're like a miracle or like they've forgotten or they're just lying because it sucks. And I'm not like, and I'm good with pain and I'm good with like recovering and stuff. And it's just like, there's nothing you can do but go through time and allow your body to recover. So like, okay, so what can I control? I can control eating a low sodium diet. I can control eating the right amount of protein and the right amount of calories so my body can heal. I can control like resting, which is hard. And I think, I know I'm getting off topic just a little bit, but I do like, I will say for me, I thought like, okay, I'm going to have like 4 weeks of downtime. I can study this. I can do this. I think my body just needed every ounce of my energy to recover that. Basically, I didn't even really have the energy to read a book, which is bizarre to say and to feel. But like when I was in it, I was like, okay, this is weird. I guess it's just going to be Netflix or whatever. And I just allowed myself to go with it because my body was telling me this is what I need to do. And so that first day and those first couple of days, I mean, it's shocking to see your body like that. And then you hope like, okay, this is going to, the fluids are going to be gone in a couple of days. No, it takes a while. And so it's like I said, between like fifth and sixth week is for me when I really start like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I'm not a swollen mess all the time. And like today, it's like I look in the mirror and every day I'm like, look at that flat tummy and look at that booty popping out, and I have boobies now. It's just I don't know. I love it. I am very very happy I did this.
Yay! You brought up such a good point too. I don't know if I've said this on the show that during recovery, like your body is so tired. You're exhausted because even though you're not doing anything, your body is using all of your energy stores to recover. These are big surgeries, right? I remember even during my recovery, like I didn't even want to chew. Like chewing was just like such a chore. Like having to chew my food felt like such a homework. Like, can somebody chew this for me and just give it, put it in? Can you make this into a smoothie? But it was just, I was so exhausted. And I always tell you guys that before you have surgery, you're like running, right? It's like you're running to the finish line. The surgery is the finish line because it's planning, making sure you have all your supplies, making sure you have your all your arrangements prepared, like making sure everything's ready, right, for surgery day. And then you have the surgery and it's like you were running this whole time and now it's like, okay, I crossed the finish line and now it's hurry up and recover. But the recovery is slow and it's day by day, and it's not going to be like, oh, I'm only recovering for a week and then I'm perfectly fine. It's a very slow process and it can take up to a year before you're like 100% back to your normal self. Most of the time it's like 12 weeks before you're like, okay, I'm back to normal. But the first 6 to 8 weeks is the most intense of recovery and change. The first 2 weeks are the worst for pain. Then after the first 2 weeks, it's more like swelling, uncomfortableness, different sensations. Have you started having the sensations yet?
I have had they're not a whole lot. I mean, but I've gotten, yeah, in my lower back, and then in my down in my tummy tuck area. I'm like, oh, and I'm itching, but I can't
Mhm.
scratch it because I can't feel it. I'm like, this is annoying.
If you feel itchy over your garment, just rub over your
Okay.
garment, or also you can tap, like tap it,
Hmm.
like
No,
like
I'll try that.
try that. For me, when I was recovering from my surgery, the sensations I felt the most were itching, and also I call them zingers. It's like, oh, like I just felt like an electricity or something just pulled
Mm,
through my back. I gotta feel, do a little scratching, a little patting to make it feel a little bit better. But those sensations, as we know, I think we've talked about, when your nerves are regenerating, waking up, the sensations can feel from fire ants crawling on you, numbness, itchiness. It can feel like it's hot. It can feel like it's cold. All of these different sensations can come about during your recovery as your nerves are waking up.
mm.
So, with that, I think I love talking to you. Every time we get on the phone or we're doing one of our calls, we always talk for over an hour, just getting into the conversation. If you had one tip for our listeners, what would it be?
You have to pick somebody you trust. And whether that's you pick a Mavi to help you through this, and so you you trust her guidance with you when you're making your decisions for your surgeon, all this stuff after, or whether it's, the surgeon that you pick, you have to pick someone that you trust, because that really does make all the difference. Because things are going to come up. Everything's not going to go perfectly as much as we plan, as much as we all do our very best. Like, it's life. Bodies do weird things. Things happen. So you want to have 100% trust that who you're working with or who's helping you on this process is going to make sure you're taken care of to give you the right direction, to make sure that you are getting the best care, and the best recovery that you can have. But like, having someone you trust is the whole process. It's the beginning, it's the middle, and it's the after. And like, surgery is not just picking your surgeon and showing up on the day of and then it's done. And there are a lot of surgeons who operate that way. And like, if you don't know that much about plastic surgery, which I didn't, like, really, really consider working with Mavi, to help you, because I'm telling you, like, you will drive yourself crazy doing all research, and you think, and then read something contradictory. And like, honestly, the best thing I did, honestly, was having that consultation with you, Mavi, and then moving forward with you. And guys, she didn't ask me to say this. She didn't say this is the God's honest truth. Because I would have driven myself crazy about, like, I think I like this doctor, but I don't know. Maybe he botched people. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't really take care of them after the fact. I don't know, because doctors can pay to have things removed. Doctors can do this, but because I trusted Mavi, like, honestly, everything else was like, I could handle. We could adjust. Like, I didn't feel like it was just me. I had someone who understands the industry. She knew the doctor. She knew the doctors I was looking at. She knew the doctor I picked, and she offered me, like, she's like, yeah, I think that's a great choice. And so for me, it was like, oh yeah, like, I so from once I made the decision for the doctor, I knew everything was gonna be great, because Mavi, I had her talk through it with her, and she's like, yes, I've heard amazing things from him, amazing work. He is who he says he is. So anyways, I know this is very long winded. It's just, for me, it's super important, because I feel like, for me, I feel like the best decision, honestly, was working with Mavi. And then obviously who we selected for my doctor, but it really does make all the difference in the whole pre, during, and after, because there's so many things that I never would have thought of because I'd never been through it before, obviously. And so having someone that could tell me what to expect and could tell me like, no, you don't need to worry about that. I know people say that, but that's not for you. Honestly, made all the difference. So if you're in a position that you're thinking about plastic surgery, but you're not sure, or you really don't know what to go, to go with this, honestly, listen, start with Mavi. That's my best advice.
Aw, you made me so happy. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I
No,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. No, no, thank you. You made this whole thing like so worth it. And oh, you asked me, I think you asked me and I never told you like how much did I pay? Um, I have to go back and look at my quote. I want to say it was like 40 or 45 because I got all the things done, right? All the things. And it included, even though I traveled out of state. So I selected Dr. Azizi's in Chicago, Illinois. Incredible. Anybody looking at him, do it. But, and so it included, flat 5 lymphatic massages. It included all these things. It was worth every penny because it was done right. It was done so right. I had I'm gonna say I had no complication. I mean, like I really didn't. I haven't had any complications. There's a couple of things that, I would message Dr. Azizi and he would respond. He's like, oh yeah, do this, or that's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. So to me, it was worth every penny because I had a doctor who's a kick-ass surgeon. I mean, look, his work looks amazing on me, y'all. He did amazing. He and his staff took care of me before, during, and after surgery. Like I had a follow-up call with him. Um, I think it was this week. It was Monday. And I think the call was 45 minutes. We talked about everything. He was not trying to rush me off the phone. He's like, what else you got? And we talked through all these things. So for me, worth every penny I paid because it was done right, because the entire time I was in good hands. I'm still in good hands. I'm 100% confident that in 5 weeks, if something goes wrong or something happens, he's gonna work with me. We're gonna fix it. Like he's never gonna like ignore me. He's never gonna be like, you're on your own. Like 100% worth every freaking penny. I love the results. I also like how I was treated during the whole process. And a lot of women, I've read their stories, they don't get that kind of treatment. They don't know their doctor. They don't get any time with him until the day of, and they don't hear from him or her after. Like this is not the kind of this procedure is not where you want to skimp. I mean, I'm not saying like, you got to spend all the most amount of money, but this is not where you want to bargain shop. It just isn't. It's your body. These are big surgeries. I know a lot of people do them, but they're big surgeries. A lot of things could go wrong, even if the doctor does everything they're supposed to. Well, I wanted the doctor who, if something went wrong, I trust that he was going to be able to take care of it. And so, yes, 100% worth every penny I paid.
I love to hear it. I want to mention a little bit of um kind of one of the perks of working together, right? Of having me on your team is that we're looking at it like we're doing it together. We're working on it. We're going through the process together. And when you have something come up that I know I can help with, I will step in and do whatever I can. So during your recovery, there was an instance where you were in the hyperbaric chamber and you had a little anxiety and something like you had an emotional reaction to the situation that you were in. That although all of the things, nothing was wrong. It was just an emotional reaction, which is totally normal. These things happen. Like I know this. All of the staff knows this. I was able to text Dr. Azizi and tell him, "Hey, this is happening." And you told me the following time that I talked to you that you could tell that he had addressed the situation with his staff. And that to me is super important because your you being able to tell me, hey, this is happening, and although I'm not in the same city as you, and although I'm not right there next to you, being able to still do something to uh, alleviate the situation is just so, so, so crucially important to me. And I know you on the other side, you felt it too. Like you felt alleviated that I was able to communicate with Dr. Azizi and tell him what's going on, and you immediately saw something different in the next time that you were in communication with his staff or his office. And I think that also is really, really important when you're picking your surgeon. And also, when one of the perks of working with me is that I have a lot of these guys' cell phone numbers in my phone. And if something's going on, I text them, hey, this is happening with my girl. Like, can you please take care of this? Or what can you do? Or, uh, like, for example, maybe we need to change a medication. Maybe we need to do this. Like, there's so many things that me being a patient coordinator and knowing how it is for the surgeons and the whole, pretty much the whole process, being able to reach out and on the other side have a surgeon that's open and receiving to the communication, and also um, acts quickly so that the situation can be alleviated, is just, you guys, you don't even understand how important that type of thing is in plastic surgery. So I wanted to bring that up a little bit just so we can kind of touch on that experience.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that. I'm glad you did bring it up.
Are you there?
Because yeah, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear
No,
me?
I lost you.
Oh no! Hello, hello. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, okay, you're here. Your phone,
Okay.
it went muted.
Oh no. Um, yeah, I heard all of that. So I was here the whole time. I'm glad you brought that situation up because yeah, it was through nothing at all that Dr. Azizi or his office did. It was totally a me emotional panic thing that I had. And I reached out to you just because it was such a thing. And I would probably have not have reached out to the doctor's office because I was kind of embarrassed about everything. And but you said, you know, would you be willing to go back? Because I had 4 sessions scheduled for that week. And and so I said, okay, I'd be willing to go back to try it again because, you know, going in the hyperbaric chamber is really, really good for recovery. So it really benefited me. But when I went back the next day, you know, they were so kind and welcoming, and they accommodated like what I needed to help get over like my panic of being in the hyperbaric chamber. And you're right, like things may go wrong. They probably will because that's life and it's how people respond to it. And having you to be able to say, hey, can I reach out to Dr. Azizi for you? Like, so, and you did. And like, and they accommodated me. Again, it was nothing that they had done. It was me having like this completely crazy emotional reaction, which I had never had in my life. So I didn't really know how to deal with it. And like, and then it was nothing. Like it was handled, and like they treated me with such kindness and care, and like really I felt so cared for by you, by him, by his staff. So yes, thank you for bringing that up.
So what happened? I want to tell our listeners, because they are going into the hyperbaric chamber after their procedures. If you're not, it's a good idea. It's a good idea for you to do it. If your surgeon is offering it, do it. If it's something that you can get added, do it. Um, Mariah, I mean, hold on, let me write down that minute,
Okay.
because so we can change, so we can get it out.
If
Gabby,
anybody, oh,
Gabby had an instance when she was going into the hyperbaric chamber. Tell us a little bit about how that experience was for you.
so yeah, so when I went to the hyperbaric chamber for the first time, I mean, I'd never been in. I honestly didn't even really know what it was. I had not done my research, um, and it was so I had surgery on a Friday, and this was a Monday, and I had so I need to say, like, I had a little bit of a traumatic experience with my post care nurse, who didn't respond to me in the middle of the night, and I ended up getting stuck in my stomach for a long time. Had to go to the bathroom. I couldn't get up. I ended up like it was very painful. I ended up getting myself up without any help, but I was kind of stuck in that position for a long time with nobody responding to me. And so I think that's what like that's what set up this experience I had when I went to the hyperbaric chamber without even really realizing it. So when you get to the hyperbaric chamber, you kind of it's a chamber and you kind of go up, I think it's like 2 steps, and you go down into this chamber. And because I had a BB on, I can't be on my butt. I needed to go on my stomach. And so I was on my stomach, and then I was in this chamber and I couldn't see. And I think without realizing what was happening, I was reliving kind of being stuck on my stomach and nobody responding to me, like how I was in my bed a couple nights before. And I was like, okay, I don't know how much longer it's going to be, because I couldn't see out. And I felt like I had I don't know if it's a full on panic attack because I've never really had one, but probably what it feels like. I'm like, how much longer can I get out of this thing? And like, you can't just turn it off, right? Because they have to make it so it's safe for you to get out. And so it was like, I don't know how long it took to get out, but it took a while, and the whole time I just got more and more panicked because I was on my stomach and I couldn't move and I couldn't see, and I was just like, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I was reliving this thing from the night, couple of nights before when I was not getting help from the nurse, and and then I was hot and sweaty, and it was just, gosh, and of course my freaking pump was leaking, so I'm feeling this, and it was just like, get me out of here, get me out of here, and they got me out, and it's like you kind of have to crawl up, and it was just like I was like I even was like I was saying, get me out. I'm not that person. I didn't like in my mind I knew I was safe, but like I don't know, something like totally irrational just took over me that I've never experienced in my life, and I like I'm glad I reached out to you. I was embarrassed. I want to say traumatized. It's nothing they did because but it was just my response. But then when I came back the next day, they were so kind. They said, we're going to have you be on your back. They set it up. So like, took the pressure off my bottom. Like, would you like to do, instead of just being in there for the straight hour, we can break it down for you so you feel more comfortable. And that worked really well for me. And then I asked, like, can you tell me like when it's been 15 minutes so I know how much longer is left? So like, I didn't feel like trapped or whatever. And it was really great after that. So I appreciate your help in that. I appreciate Dr. Azizi. Um, taking care of it. I appreciate his staff being so, like, I felt the love when I came in. I didn't feel stupid, which I thought like, oh gosh, I'm going to go in. I just had like this, like, get me out of here the day before. I did not feel that at all. So like, thank you to all of you. But thank you specifically for like recognizing that it's important that I get those treatments if I would be willing to go back. Then thank you for
Yeah.
handling it.
So when you text me, you were like, "I'm never getting back in there. I'm not going back. Like this was so traumatic. Like
Yeah.
I'm done with it."
Yeah.
And my response to you was, if you let me talk to Dr. Azizi and see if there's anything that they can do to accommodate you so you
Yeah.
don't feel like that. So I reached out because I knew I want you to get those treatments if you can tolerate them. Plus, they're already paid for. They're already like you
Mm-hmm.
have them, and they're benefiting to you. And you're only in the city for a certain amount of time, so it's kind of like we
Mm-hmm.
got to do it while you're there, or else you're not going to get them. So I reached out to him and I mentioned, that you were having an emotional reaction and you were willing to try it again if there could be some accommodations
Mm.
to make it better. And he immediately by the next time you went in there, like you could tell he
The
had
next morning.
yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
next morning he had already spoken to his staff. They had already made arrangements to make it
Mm-hmm.
better for you. And those that right there is just an example of how important it is to be able to have open communication with your surgeon
Mm-hmm.
and also having a little sidekick that's advocating for you. So
Mm-hmm.
my thought process was to advocate for you. I know he would want you to have the treatments. I know you deserve to have the treatments. We just need to make it so it's easy on you during the treatment for you to be able to tolerate it. It's totally normal to have these like emotional reactions to situations that you're like, I would have this never would have bothered me before, but during surgery recovery, like your emotions are just kind of all over the place. You feel vulnerable, you feel like like a baby. You
Yeah,
feel like a baby.
100%.
And that's why I like to treat my girls like they're babies. They're my little babies while they're going through the surgery. So it's, even though you can't, like, at that moment you couldn't advocate for yourself, but I could. I
Hmm.
could
Yep.
speak for you. I could, make sure that you still get what you needed, even though you had a little bit of anxiety about it. And at the end, it all worked out. You had all your sessions, and you even told me after that first one that you're like, well, there is a bunch of bruising going away, so maybe I
Yeah.
should do it again.
I would say like probably 85% of my bruising went away with it. And I just felt better on the days that I was in the hyperbaric chamber. So I'm really glad that, yeah, I'm 100% glad that I did it and that you helped me with that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy I was able to be with you. And now, like, you guys, I always tell you guys, like, I can't wait to see what you get yourself into, who you turn into, what you end up doing. Like, I'm just so excited for the new era of your life and dressing yourself and becoming the woman of your dreams. Like, this is my jam. I love it.
Yeah, it is.
So with that, you guys, I'm going to end this episode, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you for being on the show, Gabby.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hey guys, my name is Mavi, and I've spent the last 14 years in the plastic surgery and beauty industry, working alongside top board certified plastic surgeons. Now I'm an independent patient coordinator who doesn't work for any surgeon. This means I have unbiased reviews for hundreds of doctors, and I can help you achieve the look of your dreams, whether that's a supernatural or a video vixen. I use my professional and personal plastic surgery experience to help you look and feel your best. Join in on the fun as I talk to plastic surgery experts, friends, and real-life patients about all things plastic surgery. Should be fun.